How to use one, a new perspective on Shawshank's redemption. It's a critical question. If we keep putting perspective on Andy's prison break, use it as an inspirational story to motivate yourself. It's not inappropriate, only we don't need to read the 142-minute full article. Just watch it for 10 minutes to achieve the effect. And the movie doesn't have to be named after Shawshank. Actually, what I want to say is, whether it is the original author or the director, when they are setting or adapting, they are all leaving no effort to put red, old department. The warden depicts these three people in a more three-dimensional manner, in order to form together with Andy, the redemption of small passengers. That is to say, this movie is not the story of one person. It is the story of four people. Four people are a metaphor for four people, the society where the vanquished guest is hidden in reality. So, the theme of this film is not a single inspiration. I want to tell the world to be silent. Getting out of prison is not a good thing. Bradshaw's out, dead, Red's out. Confused. Only Andy went out and was truly free. So do you think you must be that Andy? Dare with a movie today. Take everyone to relive the laughter engraved by means of analysis. If this doesn't detoxify, finally it can bring you a new career, new understanding, new thinking. Understand that movies are sad as new. The hero of the movie is named Andy. He was drinking heavily in the car. And ready. Bullet, kill his wife and his lover at any time. Music on the radio, translated as if I don't care. This song also reflects Andy, the mood at the moment. After a moment, he found that he still loved his wife. He gave up his murderous intentions and drove home. I didn't expect the next day. Wife and lover both died in bed. Andy became the prime suspect. All the evidence points to, he left a bullet at the scene, identical to his bullet. Finally, Andy was sentenced to life imprisonment. A promising young banker fall into a dark cell overnight. This prison is called Shawshank Prison. Red in the prison today is nervously conducting a fake audit. He was also sentenced to life imprisonment. After 20 years in prison, he expressed his sincere regret, but still rejected. When he came out, he looked up at God. Depressed for a while, this read, "It's a prison know-it-all. Whatever you want, he can get it for you." It was also the day Andy went to prison. This is a long shot from above of the prison. It's a small, isolated society. Four walls, complete internal organs, borrowing a strict, gloomy tone. Outsiders gather like ants towards the door. They played tricks on the new Kenya as usual. A group of people have to gamble with Kenya by the wall. Bet on who will cry first tonight. Everyone else is betting on those who look weak. Only Red bet on Andy. Because Andy seems like a classy guy. Such people fall into the abyss, often the first to collapse. And the camera also presents Andy's subjective perspective. Time gives people a sense of suffocating oppression, transforming light into darkness. Farewell to the past life at this moment. Then the words of the battalion commander began. Turn it over, and I am your lord. Only I can control your destiny. Then he was baptized by the prisoners. High-pressure gun-flushing disinfectant powder. The prisoner, who was reborn after the chef's baptism, is buried. This tyrannical devil is worshipped as the Lord. Otherwise you will be punished by this devil. Andy also began a night in prison. Under the intimidation of the old birds, a fat man cried first and rubbed his palms. Haley here's nose. Shoyi Jingbai beat the fat man half to death. COs wear badges of civility, but the punishment of the beast. Andy didn't say a word all night. The next day at dinner, Andy dug up a bug in his meal. Bradshaw, who manages the book, "See, are you gonna?" the chat, Andy learned that the fat man died last night. He asked the fat man what his name was. There is no law or justice here. There is only control and slavery, survival of the fittest, and fit. 1 month later, Andy, who is adjusted to prison life, finds Rhett. He wants to buy a hammer and carving stone. Rhett saw through his trick. Say you're either digging a tunnel or you want to beat everyone in the head. Andy said the hammer was small, and he didn't mean it. And Rhett said yes. Yes, Rhett liked Andy from the beginning. When Rhett saw the hammer a few days later, he was relieved, because it takes 600 years to dig tunnels with him. He handed the hammer to Andy. And the other side, 3 gay brothers in prison have a crush on Andy. Arrested Andy when he was alone yesterday, the first 2 years, 3 brothers, bullying this educated and handsome bank. The identity of the person on Andy Gavel, that's why he's in trouble. In the blink of an eye, the spring of 1949. Today, Andy ushered in his first turning point. A bunch of buddies in the show, and Andy was tricked into fixing the roof. I started looking for Haley during labor, complaining about estate taxation on the sidelines, and Andy steps up, asks him if he trusts his wife. Haley was obviously offended. Andy said he could help him with tax avoidance as a reward. Just please work together in prison. Just drink a bottle of cold beer. Andy uses his own talent. Get everyone's free time. But only he didn't drink. Andy and Red became best friends. Jude's friends also helped him for a while. The guards were very attentive to him for asking for help. One day the prisoners were watching a movie after the beautiful woman comes out, and everybody whistled excitedly, cheering in the boring prison life. A little bit of brilliance seems incomparably right. Therefore, Andy asked Red to get him a Litahiva poster, and Andy, who went out alone, caught by the 3 brothers again. They pushed Andy into the fanging style. Boggs pulls out an iron cone and stabs him. Andy was badly injured, touched the hospital, but things are different now. Andy is now a big man in prison. It didn't stop there. Gotta work it out for Andy. This thing, perhaps to demonstrate their authority. Maybe it's against your own interests. Anyway, the 3rd brother never dared to trouble Andy again. After Andy was discharged from the hospital, got the poster for Red Lane. Not long after, the store manager himself came to search the prohibited boat. Actually, he's here to check on Andy. The head of the Golden Grain Hall saw Andy holding a Bible in his hand. But you have the light of light, both read the Bible. The difference is, Andy puts himself in the position of a Christian. Be aware of your behavior. Grow up and put yourself in God's place. Treat yourself as the word of truth. So the same Bible, In Andy's hands, he is the treasure of redemption. In the hands of the warden, he is the spiritual shackle that imprisons others. After the search, the store battalion manager sold a favor, left the poster on the wall, and gave the Bible back to Andy, and seriously admonished him. The way to salvation lies within. Yes, the way to salvation lies within. JD.com transfer. Captain Ding said to Andy to the library, specializing in solving financial problems for prison guards. Over time, officers from other prisons also came to him to file taxes. Andy mentioned to Commander Ding a letter to the Joe government. Let it allocate funds to expand the library. Ding Party allowed him to memorize only one a week. Although no reply, Andy still insists on writing. One day the old man in the library suddenly went crazy. He held a knife to someone's neck. Red, who has been in prison for many years, understands the thoughts of the old department. The old ministry can't leave the prison. He doesn't know how to live after he gets out of prison. He was criticized. Camera turns. After being released from prison, Laobu passed away. The world outside has been turned upside down. He is at a loss for everything. He wants to commit an intentional crime and get back to the little passenger, but he was too old. It can't be tossed anymore, so he's up on the hotel beam. Left his name. Left this world. And over there in the prison, Andy has been writing letters for 6 years. The government replied this week. I didn't expect it. I smashed him with a bunch of old books and $100. Andy said he would continue to write letters in the future. 2 a week. Until he is satisfied. In old books, Andy found a piece of vinyl. Figaro's wedding record slowly turns. A beautiful song floats out. Andy seems to have been inspired in some way. He actually locked the door. Radio turned on. This makes all the prisoners heard beautiful music. They dropped what they were doing. Time freezes at this moment. Music is true, the embodiment of perfection. Arouse the best qualities in the hearts of prisoners. Let them understand filial piety. Prison can only hold the body. To imprison people's souls. Andy was sentenced to 2 weeks in prison for this. After the gold coins come out, Andy expressed his frustration. Hope is the most precious thing. But Red reminds Andy that it's Shawshank. Hope in an endless black prison. Precisely the most dangerous. The two broke up unhappily. In fact, Red in the early years and Andy now. The idea is the same. He was hopeful. I just know what it feels like to be driven crazy by hope. And here's the interesting thing. The next shot is during Red's parole review. Smiling repentance. The result is still rejected. Yes, Red is already silencing the gram. For 30 years, Andy's been wearing it for 10 years. He gave Red a harmonica as a consolation. Red also gave him a new poster Marilyn Monroe at night. Red played the harmonica quietly, and he stared at the poster on the wall. He's feeling something. Hope 1958. The weekly council decided to allocate $500 a year as Andy's cap fee. With the help of the crowd, Andy built a library in prison. Say Mom and Dad are here. Experience the pleasures of a free man. In the same year, Captain Ding began to implement the external negotiation plan. Use prisoners. The free labor of criminals makes money for themselves, and the logical task is to take this black money. White Red is worried that Andy's mistake will be found. Andy said he created a possession. The invisible man of the total coup of power. If there is a problem, we can only check this invisible man. Red was amazed. Dungeon Dragon turn. Shawshank has a new batch of prisoners. Among them was a young man named Tommy. Very likable. He is a clumsy. Canned food has been in almost all prisons. One day he suddenly realized his conscience. I want Andy to help him get his high school diploma. Andy started with the ABC noun verb. The most important thing in prison is time. Write letters during class. Like hanging posters in the library, Andy embarks on another long decade. Transform the years of experience from useless to useful. Tommy takes the exam a year later. Finish the test paper. Tommy has a mental breakdown. We're away. And Tommy was talking to Red. Mentioned Andy. Because Andy is shy and has a good temper, it's hard to believe what felony he committed. In Red's account, Tommy found out that there is a lot of love in it. It turned out that when he was in another prison, met a prisoner in prison. Love to talk about your own killing process. Although Andy never knew he was innocent. But when I got Tommy's own confirmation, still very shocked, he approached the warden for a plan, but the warden pretended to be deaf and mute, sir. Solitary a month. Put Andy's attention on the march. After a few days, Tommy's grades are in. He got his high school diploma. Andy is sad, but still happy for him. This night, the pastoral director took Tommy to the restricted area of the prison to talk. Attention is restricted area due to Tommy's previous talkative, and then to testify against Andy. This upset the warden. That wanton see shot Tommy. The final reason is, consider a smart turn. The director came to visit Andy. The beaten Andy huddled in the corner. He said he would no longer help Nishida. The warden bared his fangs. He has the power to kill Andy. All manners are appearances. Andy is just a prisoner of his potential. Under the prison walls, Andy looked helpless and vulnerable. People like this. Make you feel guilty. This is also his calm acceptance of prison, an important reason for the disaster. He put the prison life as redemption for one's past sins. Now he thinks enough is enough. He has been in prison for 19 years. He's going to do something big tonight. He used Rat to talk about the place he most wanted to go. It's called Chihuahua. It's a coastal place in southwest Mexico, where there's warm sunshine, the blue Pacific Ocean, and a life without competition. Before leaving, Andy said, under an oak tree in Buxton's playground, "There's something left for Red. If your family is successful in the future, be sure to get it. Lightning and thunder at night, wind and rain. Red can't sleep. He's worried about Andy. Do something stupid, because during the day he asked someone for a rope. The next day, during the early warning round, Andy vanished into thin air. He got angry and took Red out for questioning. However, there was only a pile of stones left in the house. Red boasted of digging 600-year-old tunnels, and he died less than 20 years later. That night he swapped Dame Rising's ledger, took his suit and shoes, wrapped the foot with rope, climbed into the tunnel. Under the cover of thunder, he cracked open the sewer pipe with a stone, crawled 500 horses alone in a filthy sewer, finally made it to the exit. He welcomed freedom with open arms. Let the rain initialize this life. When the camera was given to Andy again, he is already in a suit. The black money that drove Dean Butterfly away from major banks and sent the evidence of Governor Butterfly's crime to the newspaper office. The dean was thoroughly investigated. He opened the Bible, saw Andy, right to him. The sports director has never believed in God. He only sees himself as God and the truth, instead of reflecting on your own actions. So he could launder money with the Bible in one hand, appropriately make an appointment with the commandments in the Bible. Prisoner in the bundle. It's the law of corruption. Framed for murder. Dame Leon's death was also very conceited. Except for himself, no one can punish him. After Andy left, his old friends often talk about his heroic deeds. Soon came the day of the review of Red's family background. He is no longer careful to express his remorse. It pierces John K's terminology, from youth to old age. He spent half his life in prison. How to start over when you have aged and lost. Regret is shameless, but he doesn't care whether he gets out of prison or not. Surprisingly, the young auditor actually approved the driving. Red out of prison, stayed in the same hotel as the old department, do the same job, fell into the same predicament. At the last critical moment, Red suddenly had a different attitude towards life, or Andy's revelation to him, or Andy's promise to him. He's going to find Andy. He is under the oak tree, found the letter Andy left him. Turned out, Andy had been waiting for him in Zihuatanejo. Because of Andy, Red won't go the way of Bradshaw again. He crossed the border, travel long distances on a blue beach. Found Andy. This is the redemption of Shawshank. This movie makes people reflect a lot. First, the traditional human spirit was attacked. Warden is a representative of modern publicism. He was a great biblical person, but never obeyed biblical commandments. Cruel evil. Greed is a conspiracy to cover up his black money. Neural burrowing, it seems to be destroying the Bible. He was a true believer in God. In fact, in Shawshank prison, from the inmate to the officer, it's been objectified. They're all poor at Shawshank prison. Only Andy is the free man for sobriety. Not everyone in the school class is Andy. This sentence is flipped over in real life. Not everyone is mine. I want to use your best. Trying to break through the inherent environment or constitution. Have you ever looked at yourself? Is it really that Andy? Bradshaw is out of jail. Red is also out of prison. But what happened? In the end, still can't leave that cold little passenger. I can't do without hatred. I just gritted my teeth and licked my jade claws. This is just like us. We've always wanted to break through the existing physique, break the existing rules, get to the top of the mountain as quickly as possible. But we never look at ourselves. Life at the top of the mountain suits us. I think this is what the original author and director must involve, and adapted Weedsy, and the reason for the two characters of the old department. In a sense, inspiration from Red and Bradshaw. Greater than Anzu. This is the question I opened. How do Da people live? Now, some of you might be tempted to do this. Aren't we fighting? Are you not trying hard? No, that's not what it means to understand movies. We can't change the little passengers. It can't change society. We can only change ourselves. Andy is expected to be free. 20 years of tenacity. What's more important is that people are in Z. Rockary is equally at home. Do you understand this sentence?